Hello, everyone. I am Daniel Otaigbe, and this is my presentation on how to get a AAA programming internship. I only have until 8 p.m., so I'm going to try to get through it as efficiently as possible so that we have a good amount of time for me to answer questions at the end. So let's get right into it. First step, figure out what you want to do because the thing is in AAA, AAA is like really about like specialization. So just saying that you want to do programming isn't specific enough because there's stuff like gameplay programming, network programming, AI programming, animation, physics, graphics, uh, and like so much more. So if you figure out exactly what type of programming that you want to do, it will make the rest of this process so much easier because then you can tailor all of your work to doing that one thing. So next question, how do you figure out what you want to do? Well, make games, preferably in C++ because that's what all these AAA companies use for the most part. There are some companies that will use um, C Sharp for Unity and like mobile games. Think like all those mobile games that Nintendo has been doing, like Mario Kart Tour, Super Mario Run, all that stuff. I'm pretty sure uses Unity. Um, but yeah, try all the different types of programming in these games that you make to get a feel for which one you like the most. And also, these games do not have to be super complicated. You could like try to remake old games like Tetris or Pac-Man or Pong as well. Um, I personally, my first like C++ experience was making Pong using SFML in C++. So yeah, you can start however you want. Once you know what you want to do from making those games, you can start experimenting with it. And honestly, this part is kind of like it's kind of intertwined with making the games because one thing that a lot of people don't actually like talk about is that not all of your portfolio pieces have to be complete games. They can be they can be like basically like tech demos. Um, so like for example, if you wanted to work at Sony Santa Monica as a gameplay programmer, um, you could you could make like one of your portfolio pieces could be like a character controller that's basically like Kratos, and you could work on implementing the axe throwing mechanic and like the pullback that he does with the axe as like accurately as possible, and like just making that and like having that on your portfolio is it hits almost as hard as like a full game when going for a gameplay programming position. Um, and once you like get a feel for what you want to do, literally look up roles that look up job postings in those roles and just like read about everything that they want and then pretty much copy that and try to become that. And once you're good, you have my permission to go all out just this once and make your flagship game, which should really be in C++ in some sort of capacity. Yeah. And with this game, you want to try to make the type of programming you want to do a core component of the game. So, like, if you are really into graphics programming, this game should be like I would say one of the main mechanics should have to do a lot or rely on graphics programming in some type of way. Think like I don't know, some game where you like move through shadows and but like light kills you or something like that. Um, Yeah, and here you'd want to use all the stuff that you learned from your smaller projects to make this one really big and good. It's going to be the one that you're going to put at the front of your portfolio so that people will hire you. Real quick, a lightning round of a bunch of other important stuff. A portfolio website is a must. It doesn't matter how exactly you get it done. You can use WordPress, Weebly, make it yourself, whatever. The main thing is that it needs to convey info fast. And there's like a tier list to the type of info that you want to put on your portfolio. At the top is like videos and GIFs. Right under that are pictures of your game. And then under that is like words talking about your game. Um, and yeah. Those are the three main things. Ideally, you have like all of them, but like you want them to be able to see your game in motion, ideally, um, as fast as possible when they go on your portfolio. Also, networking doesn't always mean talking to people more experienced than you. Places like this, ATL GameDevs, talking to other peers in the industry is also helpful. If you're still in college, if you have a game development club, definitely be active in that. And in your resume, specificity is important. Write impactful things that you did on your projects without being too wordy, and be prepared to go into more depth about them whenever somebody asks you about them. And cover letters are annoying, but I always use them whenever I'm applying somewhere. Um, I basically make it into like this like formula. Basically, I share like um, why I applied or like some way that I'm connected to the company, and then I explained why I think that I would be a good fit to work there. Also, Twitter is very useful for game dev. Developers are always dropping knowledge on it, and sometimes they even offer to help students out with like stuff like resume reviews or stuff like that. So yeah, don't be afraid to cold message people. Just make sure to be as polite as possible. And most people will not have a problem with it. Um, I have gotten a surprising amount of responses trying this. Even when I was like a freshman that didn't even really know what he was talking about. um, yeah, so yeah, people are mostly nice. Yeah. And yeah, that's basically the end. I want to share these links with everyone. I should put them in the chat because no one can click this. Um, yeah, but basically, Grackle HQ, good for finding game jobs. Um, this Mr. Ventures, he made a book that is really good for preparing for programming interviews for specifically for game development. This is like the cracking the coding interview for game dev. It's very good. It does cost money, but the proceeds go to I think malaria research. So for a good cause. And I recently found out about this website called roadmaps.sh, which goes over it. They basically make like these node maps that show you what topics you need to learn to like spec into some sort of programming. But yeah, okay. Now, first, let me post all these links in the chat, and then I will move on to answering questions. I went through that a lot faster than I thought I was going to. So I guess that works out because we got a lot of time for questions. Those are the links I was talking about. Okay, let's go from the top. So Amber asks, is C++ actually worth putting time into now, considering government orgs are pushing away from it? Would an alternative like Rust be something more worth investing that time into? Um, I don't really know about what the government is doing, but at least for games, if you are trying to work in the AAA game industry, they are mostly using C++. So yeah. Parker Cameron asks, is this being recorded? Yes. Um, okay. Sean asks if I could share a bit more about myself and my specific experience getting a AAA internship. Where do I work? What did I specialize in? What kind of projects did I make? Yeah, that I should have done that from the beginning. I just went straight into it. Yeah, so I work at Insomniac Games as an associate gameplay programmer. Um, my experience getting there was I graduated from Georgia Tech. I was in the computational media program, and so basically I was just really active in Georgia Tech's game development club. And my first my first like internship to like get me in the door was with a local VR slash mobile company here in Atlanta called Fanaticus that I met them on campus one time because I was going to a place to play Beat Saber, and uh, the founder overheard me talking about game development club, and because I had my portfolio ready, I was able to he stopped me to talk about it for a little bit, and I was able to show him my portfolio on my phone, which led to me getting my first internship, and then with that, and then all the like putting to work the things that I talked about in the presentation about like studying C++ and like making games in C++, I was able to get another internship at Hyman Studios, which is owned by Activision, to work on Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the Battle Royale one. And then after getting that, it made applying to other places a bit easier since I had that experience. And then I managed to get an internship with Insomniac in 2022. And then thankfully, I did well enough at that internship to transition into full time, which I've been with Insomniac for a little over a year and a half now. Um, and yeah, I've been specializing in gameplay programming. And as for the types of projects that I made, I am really into like action games, like Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, Ninja Gaiden, all that stuff. So my flagship game was it was an action game in that style, closest to Devil May Cry. Um, yeah, juggle combos, all that stuff. Um, yeah. Sorry if that was like too long-winded for that, but okay. Alex asks, as a sophomore in college, starting my major classes in game development, how likely am I to get an internship this summer? Is, and if so, what internships do you recommend? Um, as a okay, so you're starting. Okay, you're a sophomore right now. Um, there is a you. This is around the time when companies are um since since when you since when you finish, you will be going into being a junior. Um, it's not as likely because like part of the problem with like the AAA internships is that they usually want to get people that are closer to finishing um, college, so that like they can like hire you right after. Um, so usually, um, usually like the golden window of opportunity is when you are the summer of your junior year. It's still possible the summer of your sophomore year too, but like the absolute best time is like the summer of your junior year. And as for what internships I recommend, um any experience in programming I think is better than nothing. So um I would recommend to just like um apply to basically everything. That is what I did. Um, I I did end up getting offers from both like some financial tech companies like Intuit, um, but also because I was going so hard into game development, I got lucky and I was able to get some offers. I was able to get an offer from Activision. So like that was my first time getting an internship, and that was the if I can remember correctly, yeah, that was the summer of my sophomore year. So it is possible, but I would recommend just like applying to as many places as possible. But also, if you're like really set on game development, I wouldn't necessarily spend like too much time like trying to cater your resume and like portfolio for non-game development jobs, because even in the Intuit interview, like all I really did was talk about like my teamwork experience programming for games, like working with people or whatever. So yeah. um Kardik asks, what soft skills would you say is most important to follow your career path? Um, I wanted to think of something that like not many people would say, but really the only thing that comes up is collaboration because specifically for me as a gameplay programmer, you have to collaborate with people from a bunch of different disciplines. So like there could be times where you're talking to only animators or only audio people or designers or other programmers or all of them at the same time. So one thing that's like, yeah, you gotta be good at just like collaborating with people in general, but also being able to um, cut out info that people don't need. So like if you're dealing with like some technical stuff or whatever, like you have to remember that like um the audio people just want to know how to get their audio to work, and or like the animators just uh want to know how to get their animations to play the way that they want when you press the buttons in the game. So like yeah, you got to be able to also omit stuff when it's not needed. Okay, Parker Cameron says um, that they are a game dev student at SCAD Atlanta, focusing on game tech, and they're still trying to figure out what they want to specialize in for their portfolio. This September will be their third year here, so they have about 2 years left till graduation. Have I seen many seniors or recent graduates gain an internship compared to juniors? I'm not sure if my portfolio will be robust enough till next spring. Yes, I actually have, and that honestly really surprised me. At both times, I was when I was interning at Activision and at um, Insomniac, there were other interns that had already graduated college, which confused me because all the time on these applications, they say that you're not allowed to, or you can only apply to an internship if you will be enrolled in college the following for the next school year. So it's happened both times I was interning. So I think even if you graduate, if you're still like if you're like a really recent graduate, I say still go ahead and send in applications because I guess they will take you anyway. Um, okay, if summer of my junior year is the golden window, in your opinion, what does AAA look for in your portfolio? I'm hoping to get enough filled in for mine by the end of the year. What would I say that they look for? Um, I mean, number one, competency within your role. Um, and then that's that's kind of like the main thing that I can really think about. Like, um, speaking from my experience, um, I can't speak as well to like all the other disciplines, but at least for being a gameplay programmer, they obviously look for like hard skills in C++, and then hard skills in like linear algebra, um, physics, and then also that you're able to like think about game design at the as well. Um, okay, I'm focusing on programming for one of my cores. Right now, I'm getting a handle on Unreal Engine, but would you recommend any other software to invest time in as a game dev programmer for AAA? Nope. I think Unreal is great. Um, Make sure that you do at least a little bit of C++ in Unreal. Um, but it is still important to like also use blueprints. Both are important in Unreal. But yeah, Unreal is great. A lot of them use Unreal. Um, and when they don't use Unreal, their proprietary engines can actually end up being similar to Unreal in some ways. So yeah, you're good there. Okay, Sean asks, when you recommend people using C++ for their portfolio projects, do you suggest using Unreal or using C++ to make their own engine? Or do you think it doesn't matter which as long as they use C++? Um, Unreal's fine. Um, Fine and good, I would say. Making your own engine in C++ is like above and beyond, and it will make you stand out, but um, it depends on like what you're trying to do. If you're if you are trying to become like a graphics programmer or like a tools programmer, then making your own engine is like a perfect fit because like that's you're going to be working on engines and like making tools and like graphic stuff on the job. So like you probably should make your own engine if you're trying to do that type of programming. But if you are if you're trying to do like gameplay programming like me, it's not really as important because gameplay programmers are more focused on the implementation and like yeah, pretty much we're more focused on the implementation. Knowing about all the all the engine stuff can help you, and it will it can and will probably make you a better programmer, but I don't think that it's completely necessary. I did some um, engine work on my own or whatever, but I never really got far enough to be able to feel comfortable putting it on my portfolio, and I still managed to get internships. So yeah. What websites do you personally recommend for a portfolio? I think also Alexa asked that. I think literally anything works as long as you can put up videos and GIFs. Um, I personally had to make my own website for a class, so that's what I used. But you can literally use anything. If you are worried about like paying for hosting, if you are interested in making your own website, you GitHub Pages is a thing that you should look into. Basically, you can host your website for free using GitHub. I'm also a college student looking for internships in the industry, more on the art side, but the ones I found are almost somewhere I can't go to. How do you handle potential opportunities that are far off? Like, could you potentially ask for a remote type position or um, so sometimes for these internships, they will like uh, give you um, I don't know exactly what you mean by too far or like can't go to. If you mean they're like international, then like there's not much you can do some of the time. There are some places that will take international people, and I think that they will also include relocation in your offer so that you don't have to cover all of the costs of getting and staying over there by yourself. Um, if you mean domestic, like all in the US, it's just like far away. Um, most US AAA companies will include relocation domestically. So yeah, and thank you for complimenting my icon. I also like it. It was made by a friend. Okay. Are there any internship opportunities for people who have already graduated and are looking to enter the industry? And would you have any advice for someone who is competing against people who have had an internship for an associate role? Um, Internships for people who have already graduated, I have not seen. I've not seen many. Or any actually at all, unfortunately. Also, Miranda asked this. I keep forgetting to read people's names. Um, as for advice for someone who is competing against people who have had an internship for an associate role, um, the only thing you can really do is lean on your projects. Um, Ideally, um, like basically the most like perfect situation that you can have is if your project matches with the studio that you are applying to. So um if you were if you were applying to work at like Toys for Bob or something, if you had like uh cute uh high fidelity, maybe, well, depending on if you're an artist or not, but like if you had a 3D platformer that was like um pretty good on your portfolio, like that's the best you can ask for. um Also, another question Parker asks, for a programmer going into AAA, what skill sets complement programming but can be transferable to other disciplines within the industry? The collaboration that I talked about earlier, because AAA teams are huge. So pretty much in any position, you're going to be collaborating with people. Um, And when you are in gameplay programming, you'll have a lot of interaction with design the most. So if you were to go into a less technical role, when prototyping, you'd probably be able to use the stuff that you learn to like work with whatever scripting system your studio uses. Okay, Sean asks, did I encounter technical interviews when applying to for programming internships? What were the expectations of the technical exams, and what did I do to prepare for them? Um, yes, I ran into technical interviews. Um, as for what they went over, it was kind of all over the place a little bit. Um, there were some that were like your regular type of technical interview that's like basically something that you'd find on LeetCode. And um, there were other ones that were a lot more, a lot more like, uh, a lot more like math focused and like really, really game focused. There's like a few questions that game companies will like ask that are like base level things like how to tell if two spheres are intersecting. um Trying to think of what else. A lot of like um ray cast stuff, how to tell if like a ray is intersecting a line, or like how to get a point on a plane, stuff like that, like math type stuff, linear algebra math type stuff. um and so especially for preparing for them, I used the book that I sent, the Matthew Ventures Get Into Game Dev. Before it was a Google Doc before, but now it's like actually a book. And I would study that, and I would do mock interviews with a generous upperclassman from Georgia Tech to get ready for them. Um, yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay, Alberto asks, have I seen self-taught hobbyists join the industry? Do you see generalist roles in the industry, or is specializing the way to go? For Okay, have I seen self-taught hobbyists join the industry? I mean, I'd say that they are in the industry if they've released a game, but I assume you mean specifically, have I seen someone self-taught join the AAA games industry? I don't know anyone personally, but I am sure that it has been done before. Yeah. And for generalist roles in the industry, in AAA, there aren't. I would say in AAA there aren't really many for generalist roles. Like the some of the closest things I can think of is like technical designer, which like kind of means something different like everywhere. um, but like at least from what I've seen, like a technical designer will do stuff like scripting, but then they'll also go into code sometimes, but they're not like fully a programmer. Um, but yeah, um, the industry is very like it's very like specialized. Okay, Shock asks, or Shock, I don't know if I'm saying it right. How would you recommend filtering and changing your portfolio over time as your work starts to improve? Is it a case of just showing your newest and what you interpret to be your best work? How do you balance that against job requirements? Um, yeah, I'd probably just put whatever like the. So I was gonna say that I would do whatever's the newest, but I think probably what you would want to do is like depending on how well the games that you work on do, that would kind of that would kind of like help you decide which ones to push more versus which ones to push less. So like I guess one thing that I'm thinking is that like if your studio has like a breakout game, like a game that you did like the last game that came out 2 games ago was like super huge, but then the next game that came out right after it wasn't as big of a hit. Um, you'd still have both of them on your portfolio, but like maybe you'd have like some carousel at the top that like would show all the stuff that you've done, and um, that bigger hit game would be earlier on the carousel than like the game that wasn't as much of a hit, I guess. Um, but honestly, if at least for me, if I haven't had to like switch jobs yet, but if I was like really proud of something that I did, I would probably put it up there regardless. Because I have high standards, so I feel like if I was proud of it, it's probably pretty good. Okay, let me see. Okay, Junk says I'm late, but I'm looking into internships, but I'm aware that some companies only send the job role links to universities they've tied tied up with directly, and I'm pretty sure my university doesn't have these tie-ups. So would you recommend reaching out to the recruiters directly? I haven't heard about that before. I'm sure that like places like University of Southern California has like studios come there and then like they get like maybe they get like a special link or something. But I I think it might be worth trying to message recruiters. Just always make sure to be as polite as possible. And if they don't respond, then they don't respond. And then also, of course, always try the official channel first before like messaging people. Um, okay. Parker Cameron asks, as a programmer, do you know any good courses to take that would give you certification, which would look nice on your resume? I don't think certification matters that much, at least for AAA programming. I think it's all about the projects. Um, okay. Parker Cameron says, right now I'm doing research on C++ and Unreal Engine, but hearing what you're saying, having a grasp on C++ itself would look great. Okay, do I have any recommendations on courses? Yes, actually. It's not a course, it's a YouTube series. But generally, his channel in general is great for learning C++, and it's what I used. Um, Let me send it in the chat right here. The Cherno, he he goes over like everything. It's awesome. So yeah, he also has a game engine series where you can like literally like make a 2D game engine with him on the side. Um, and that was what I used. And like the cool thing is that doing that, like the videos are kind of old. So like sometimes you'll run into like random build problems where like the way he does it just like doesn't work anymore. So then you have to find out how to get it to work in current year. and that's all. Uh, that's all part of it. So yeah, you also get some more learning in there too. Okay. Let me see. Kardik says, totally important, not off topic question. Am I excited for Sonic 3? Uh yeah, I am wearing the Shadow shirt. That was on purpose because it just got announced. I'm actually kind of a hater of the Sonic movies, even though I've seen both of them so far. Um and I'm probably gonna watch the third one some way because I just have to see all the Sonic media. But like it'll probably be okay, I guess. But yeah. Okay. Iselba asks, how cutthroat, if at all, is the artist side for the gaming industry when it comes to larger companies? I'm still a newbie and I'm purely self-taught with no skin in the game. So what would I be looking at as a general idea when it comes to companies of this scale? Um, if you mean cutthroat as in like competitive to like get in, from what I have heard, it seems to be pretty difficult. But I feel like most game jobs are pretty competitive. Because a lot of people want to work in games, I guess. There was there was like a while ago, I remember people talking about like some of the most coveted roles in the industry, but I am completely blanking on like what those roles would be. But I don't remember them being art positions. Um shader programmers. Shader slash graphic programmers, apparently. At least back in like 2022, because stuff changes fast. Yeah, they were they were pretty they were pretty a pretty hot commodity. Um, okay. Parker Cameron asks, generally, what is the scarcity for programming positions in AAA? When talking to the associate chairman of my majors department, programmers are typically the ones that are kept long term in a company. Because of that, though, I assume it's rare for positions to open. Um, how I have heard people say it is that there's not necessarily like a scarcity of programmers, but there's like a scarcity of like good, solid programmers. Because like what I think you are right in saying that like usually programmers are treated better and like kept longer in companies, which is unfortunate because like we're only like one part of making the game work. But um, what what I think and what it feels like I've been seeing happen is that like um, most of the time senior devs or like people that are more experienced move to other companies and then they need to fill the senior spot and then they just like can't really find anybody to fill the senior spot. um so like it does create the difficult situation of like um seeing a bunch of positions that are like we need you to have 5 plus 7 plus years in the industry to work here or whatever. um when and then it's like how do I get those years of experience if you are not ever taking juniors? Um, which yeah, that sucks, and especially because there are some places that pretty much only source their junior engineers from their internship program. Like I'm pretty sure Insomniac is also like that. Most of my coworkers that are like younger have all been a part of the internship program before they came in. Um, so yeah. Um, the thing is, if you follow like all this like Matthew Venture stuff and like making games in C++ or whatever, like really stick to it. Um, I think it's possible for you to stand out. Alexa asks, "Have I seen the Snapcube fan dubs?" Yes, and I love them. I even have a shirt with Eggman that where he's talking about missing his wife. Yeah, so okay, let me see. Um, Unfortunately, Parker Cameron asks. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about the tech artist role just yet. But would it be worth looking into shaders and rendering? I'd say so. Yeah. Let me. There's a great person on the internet that maybe everyone has heard of, named Freya Homer. I hope I'm saying her name right. She has a great series on shaders. And I think it's a great starting point. It's where I started when I was messing with shaders. Um, Put it in the chat. Um, so yeah, I would recommend looking at that if you want to get into shaders, especially because like um, even if you're doing like um, even if you're not going to be specifically a graphics programmer, having some knowledge about it uh, can help you either just like make a quick fix right away or be able to prototype something quickly with whatever you know. And like maybe you even get really into it and find that you like it. Uh, just talking about it right now, I think tech artists are also another role that is pretty coveted, or at least allegedly, I heard that it was pretty coveted back in 2022 because stuff changes fast. But yeah. Okay. Miranda asks, "How is the work environment at Insomniac? Things like work-life balance and crunch." I will be as candid as possible answering this. For me, it has not been bad. Like maybe in my whole year and a half of working here, of working there, I've worked like maybe like 15 hours of overtime, like maximum over like a 1.5 year span. Which personally I don't think that's that much. And also, um, like it was never like coercive. It never felt coercive, at least to me. It was more like um this milestone is ending. I'm working on this thing. I'll stay an extra hour to finish it so that we can have it in the milestone and like the bug will be fixed or whatever. It's like stuff like that. However, for me looking at my seniors, um definitely sometimes they're having to work a lot. um, Even sometimes working on the weekends. and it's not an all the time thing, and usually what it what seems like is happening is that like they'll like rotate through kind of, so it's not like the same person always like doing extra time like all the time. Um, but another thing that Insomniac does do is that they do like I guess like crunch reviews, I guess for lack of a better way to talk about it, where after we finish like um some milestone or like some big thing like finishing alpha or like finishing beta or something, or like after we go gold on something, our engineering manager will send out um a survey to everyone in the department where everyone will talk about they'll answer questions about how they felt their workload was, what if there were problems with it, you can bring it up. And then after everyone answers all that, then we have a group meeting where we go over everything that everybody has said, and then like people are allowed to like speak up and like talk to um our managers and everyone else about like things that we can do so that like um crunch doesn't happen again, pretty much. So like in my view, they're trying. um I have been pretty shielded from it myself as like a junior, but yeah. Okay, let me see. Oh, wait, yeah, yeah, 15 hours in a week would be. Oh. Okay, Sean asks, working in AAA, how much do you feel your individual contribution supports the broader outcome versus being a small piece in a big puzzle? Um, so I joined during the development of Spider-Man 2, and honestly pretty close to the end of the development of Spider-Man 2. So there was a lot of stuff was already set in stone, and it was kind of just like heads down, let us finish this game so that we can release it on time. So most of my first year was mostly just like bug fixing and like random stuff, just like all the time. So I did kind of feel I guess kind of a little disconnected from my work because like I wasn't I was just fixing bugs mostly. I wasn't getting to contribute to like the design of the game or stuff like that. But after the game came out, after like expressing that I wanted to implement gyro aiming into the game, my manager allowed me to work on that and put that into our first title update. And that felt really good. Of course, it's not like a super huge thing or whatever, but like gyro aim is something that I'm passionate about, and being allowed to put that into the game for other people who are obsessed with gyro um, felt really good. And you know, it seemed that gyro aim was like a blind spot for like basically the entire team. So I did kind of feel like I like got to shine in that moment. And now working on unannounced stuff, being there earlier, I get to have I get to have like some input on stuff. Still not like uh a ton so far, but like we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Um and yeah, that is actually right at 7:59. I have to go for Final Fantasy 14 raid. so so yeah, thank you for having me. I really hope that all the answers that I gave and the presentation was helpful. And I would like to say, please use me as a resource. Do not feel obligated or do not feel like shy messaging me or whatever. Flood me with messages. I want to help people. I'll do resume reviews. I can help do mock interviews, all of it. Please message me. I want to help. Um, and yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time, and I will see you all later. Bye.